Reverend Herman Watson Sr. is a native of East St. Louis. He's currently serving his 35th year as a pastor of the Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church. He currently serves as chairman of the board of New Salem Place, president of Sinai Family Life Center, president and CEO of Mount Sinai Development Corporation. As president of Mount Sinai Development Corporation, Pastor Watson has overseen the construction of 60 homes called Sinai Village. He continues to work to improve and upgrade housing conditions in East St. Louis and to revitalize areas near downtown. He has led efforts to complete about 10 blocks of new construction in his community. He's a product of the public school system of East St. Louis, and he matriculated at Union Theological Seminary, Midwest College, and Midwestern Theological Seminary, completing clinical pastoral education through Deaconess Hospital. Pastor Watson has consistently hosted the Treasurer's Office for the Smart Women, Smart Money Conference and other state Treasurer's Office programs and events. I'm very happy to have you here today, Pastor, and to present to you this award for excellence in community service. Pastor, thanks for joining us today.
Well, bless you. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for recognizing the work that's been done in the city of East St. Louis. I really appreciate it.
Now, obviously, you had a calling to the ministry. What inspired you to begin Sinai Village and Family Life Center?
Well, I mean, in a long story short, I grew up in substandard housing in the city of East St. Louis. I'm the youngest of 6 siblings, single parent household. So my mom struggled, and we lived in substandard housing that growing up as a kid, teenager. And one of the things that I vowed is that when I got in any position or old enough, that I would provide housing for persons who were struggling with housing. And so I started my own little rental business. I would flip houses and buy them on the auction market and fix them up. And then I got called to pastor the church, and we met with the University of Illinois about stakeholders in our community and revitalizing our community. And so that was about 25, 26 years ago. And from that, we started Winston Industry Park Neighborhood Organization. And then ultimately, the church, we started our development corp. And the intent was to revitalize our community and to make sure that people had affordable housing. And so I bless God for the church that I pastored, that we were able to start the Sinai Life Center, which is the social service arm of the church, and then the Sinai Development Corp, which came alongside to build houses, what we call village values. That's how you get Sinai Village, where we help each other and we support persons who never had opportunities. People lived in high rise. They now have an opportunity to comply with a budget program and set it up where we could help them at some point to be able to purchase their own home through Sinai Village.
Right. Well, you make that sound fairly easy over several years, but we know it was not. What challenges have you had to overcome to implement your vision?
Well, we had many. One of the things was to change the mindset of the church, because in the past we've only focused in on in-house worship, and one of our mottos is that we are a church with ministry upward to God, inward to ourselves, and outward to our fellow man. And so this phase of the development of Sinai Village is our expression outward to our fellow man, to make sure that the church is outside of the walls and had a separate entity that we could receive funds to help to make our community, because we recognize that the church and the influence of the church and the members of the church ought to be the nucleus in the community. And if we are vital and vibrant and energetic, then we can create a community that carries our spirit.
I think one of the biggest challenges of someone who has been doing what you've been doing for as long as you have is motivation. So for our listeners, how do you personally stay motivated after 35 years of service to your community?
Well, one of the things is understanding the mission, understanding the assignment that I believe that God called me to change the community that I grew up in as a teenager, might I add. I grew up as a teenager, and I was pretty I was pretty much one that helped to destroy the community. I was a wayward teenager, and I had some persons who pulled me back in at the Sinai, at the Salvation Army, Chico Davis, late Chico Davis, and he sat me down and told me that I had more to offer than destruction. And so that helped to start shape me at the age of between 16 and 18. And we ran into some challenges with our community, with the characterization of the preacher in the community. And so in one sense, they call me the street preacher because I can relate to those who are in my community because I once was a gang member. I sold the marijuana on the street, and I drank the alcohol on the street. And then God transformed my way of thinking. So the challenge is to remain on course despite the political situations in our communities, and despite uh, the low esteem, uh, the fact that we live in poverty, and there's some people who don't want to change this to get out of it. And so our intent was to create uh, uh, a sustainable neighborhood where people could be proud.
So, Pastor, sounds like you've overcome some personal issues, but an issue that we've all had to deal with for these last 2 years is this pandemic. And I know in my role, I work with a lot of people, and it was very difficult not being able to meet people in person. I know in the ministry, it's very similar. So, how has the pandemic impacted your ministry and your projects?
Well, in terms of the ministry, we're still doing ministry. As a matter of fact, we're probably doing more now than we were prior to the pandemic because now the people are focused and we know what we have to do. We've created some online services and all of that because we've not been able to meet in person. So it's been extremely difficult. But we have an awesome congregation of people and our community is coming together. So the finances, we've been able to do the things that we need to do. As a matter of fact, in the middle of the pandemic, we burned the mortgage. You know, um, the as it relates to the housing, we've been designated this last session about a little over $11 million to build an additional 38 units, and we were given 100,000 square foot building that we want to convert into a community center. And the fellow that gave it to us said to me that if we could help one African American youth, then it's well worth him giving us that building. So we're blessed in that. So amidst the challenges, we still have hope. And so we know the assignment, and so we're sticking to it. We're not distracted.
Great. Well, hopefully, young people watching this realize that obstacles will be put in your way, but you can get around them, you can get over them. Just keep going forward, and you can
Yes,
leave a commitment. Um,
yes.
so, for young people or people who've lived a little more life, what advice would you share with people who want to get involved in their communities, want to make a difference, achieve their goals?
Well, I think you have to really understand what you're called to do, understand that we're capable of doing anything. Our gift makes room for us, so we have to assess ourselves. We have to take an internal inventory and see where we can best fit in our culture. Everybody can complain. A whole lot of people can protest, but how many people are willing to step out and do work in order to impact other people? And so young people, even in this 21st century, with what we have going, there's not a lot of hands-on. The pandemic has put it where we can't grab or touch or put our hands there, but we can put our mind to work and our heart to work and to meet the needs of people in our community. It's a matter of understanding your assignment, understanding your gift, your talent, and then using them for the benefit of other people. It only helps you.
Well, I think that's great advice. I hear it all the
Yes,
time. It's very easy to complain. It's much more difficult to build. Looks like
yes,
you have spent a career as a builder. So that's
yes.
why you are honored with our Treasurer's Office Award for Outstanding Achievement in Community Service. Thank you for all the work you have
Yes.
done for your community, Dr. Herman Watson.
Bless you. I appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to Dennis Jackson, who is our executive director, because he takes the dream that I have and makes it become a reality, and our board. So we're grateful and we're thankful to you for recognizing us. And this award, we accept it wholeheartedly. We bless God for it.
I guess that's some other great advice out there. Maybe you didn't intend it that way, that none of us do any of this all by ourselves. We do it together, but we do it when we stop complaining, we get up and get to work. And thank you for your years of work, Pastor.
Bless you. Thank you. Bless you. Bless you now.